What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another special episode of Buzz Buzz, and it's special because happy Halloween to everybody out there. Today is Halloween. Trick or treat safe out there, and check your candies. You got your
I never understood that. Check your candies. When I was a kid, I never found anything once bad in my stuff, but boy, my parents
They took it. Yeah,
they
your
took the
parents
good
take your
stuff,
candy.
though.
That's cool about being a parent now. You can take kids' as candy.
They took my Reese's and my Skittles, my Twix. Boy, I'm like,
My
what was
dad
wrong
used to
with
take
it?
my Airheads. If I had any Airheads, they were gone. My dad took my motherfucking Airhead. So, but again, like I said, happy holidays, happy Halloween. Right into it. The MLB World Series is going underway. Game 6 is today, and potentially could be the deciding factor in the series. The Blue Jays are up 3-2 in the series, and honestly, it's been a very solid MLB series, which is crazy because so far this is through the first two games. 12.6 million viewers. That's down from last year, which I think is crazy. But in Japan, 10.7, most viewed World Series ever. Not surprised because of Ohtani. And then in Canada,
even the Dodgers pitch, their pitcher too, Yamamoto or whatever.
from Japan as well. 6.8 million in Canada, most viewed Blue Jays game ever. Not surprised because it's the Toronto Blue Jays. But I think it's a little surprised that it's down here in the U.S. because it's been a lightning in a bottle of a World Series. I mean, game 1, right out the bottle for the Blue Jays. Then, obviously, the Dodgers won the next two, I believe it was. And then the Blue Jays went on to win the next two. So, but, I mean, we have to really talk about Ohtani for a minute because Brandon and I were talking about this earlier this week. Is Ohtani the GOAT of baseball? Like, I know he's got one ring, potentially could get a second one if they pull out this World Series. But, I mean, in Game 3, Brandon, it went to 18 innings, which, on that side of the coast, well, it was crazy. But for us, it was even worse. This game didn't get over to like 1 in the morning. But Ohtani reached the bases 9 times. He was walked for 5 of them. Think about that. He was walked 5 times, and this dude's a pitcher at the same time.
Well, I think that's why. I mean, I feel like everybody considers like Babe Ruth is like the GOAT of baseball because he did it both ways.
Yeah.
He pitched and he hit, and we haven't ever seen anything in the modern era
like that before.
That pitched and hit. We always, obviously it's the outfielders, the infielders, and they hit.
Yep.
Then they even implemented the DH, so your pitcher didn't have to hit because pitchers couldn't hit. Then here comes Ohtani, who is going to potentially end up being a top 5 pitcher all time. That's had 3 to 4 surgeries on his shoulder/elbow, and is an elite home run hitter.
Years pitching, unfortunately, for that.
Well, he has, but this is his first, not even full year back pitching for the Dodgers. I mean, it's hard to say that when his career is over, said and done, handful of World Series rings, that he's not considered one of the best all time.
The things he's doing is just insane. I mean, 3-4 home runs, 10 strikeouts in a game.
He also steals bases too.
He steals bases, and you're walking him. And the Blue Jays manager even said that this is something that's going to continue throughout the series. They're going to walk him. They're not going to let him hit, which is crazy because he's a pitcher at heart, which is insane. But to put this in terms from Game 3, Ohtani reached the bases 9 times, which tied a record. But last year's World Series, Aaron Judge in 5 games only reached the bases 9 times in 5 games. Ohtani did that in 1 game. That is insane to me. But, I mean, overall, this Blue Jays Dodgers has lived up to what we were kind of hoping to be a good series. I mean, Blue Jays' best record in baseball. You don't get that, for no reason. First time they've been in the World Series in 30-plus years. I think it's like 35 years since they've been there. Obviously, the Dodgers are trying to defend their crown from winning it last year against the Yankees. So it's like, a lot of people had the Dodgers pretty much ending this series very quickly, and that's not been the case. We've gotten ourselves a matchup for sure.
Well, I think this has been the best thing for the sport here in America is that the Dodgers didn't just walk in,
Yep.
mollywop them with this $1 billion payroll roster that they have, running it back, and obviously bringing in a little bit more talent in this last offseason. And the Blue Jays actually giving up a fight. And the last time it was back-to-back winners was 2000s, and it was the Yankees with Derek Jeter when they went back-to-back.
It's crazy because if the Dodgers win today, Game 7's tomorrow, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll have a winner regardless in the next 2 days.
Who do you think? Do you think the Dodgers?
I think we're getting a Game 7. I think the Dodgers are going to sit. I personally want a Game 7 because that's where we're really going to see what everybody's made of. That's what you want to see in sports. Game 7.
Well, I think the Dodgers will extend it on the sole fact that they have Yachimota pitching, which is their ace. So I think he'll shut it. He'll go 7.
And Ohtani came out and said he'll bullpen. He's willing to do the bullpen.
Well,
so it's like
you're going to use Ohtani any way you need him in the next 2 games for the Dodgers. But I think Yachimota, I think he's going to get out to a hot start, and the offense of the Dodgers is going to be held down for so long. But you can't, or the offense for the Dodgers can be only held for so long by the Blue Jays. I don't think they'll have a chance. They'll be a close game, but I think the Dodgers will get out with this one because of the pitching. But I got to take a shout out to the rookie from the Blue Jays.
Yes.
The last game,
12 strikeouts. 5. Yeah, 12 strikeouts. Like I said in here, like these rookies are stepping up, man. Like that's insane. That's unheard of. A rookie stepping in a pressure situation like that. To put yourself up 3-2 in a World Series, you step up and deliver 12 strikeouts? That's unheard of. You don't ever see it. And what team would really trust a rookie pitcher to go up there in the World Series in a game that potentially puts you up, one win away to do that? Like, how many people are doing that, do you think? Not many.
There's not very many pitchers that are being put on that stage alone.
So,
but, I mean, he went 7 innings. Trey Yesavage, it looks like. And with 12 strikeouts, allowed 1 hit. But I will say that the Dodgers bullpen, that's been an issue all year, reared its head in Game 5 because once the Dodgers pulled their starting pitcher, it was a wrap after that. It was not good. The Blue Jays lit up the relief pitching. Like Snell pitched, had 7
I'm really
strikeouts.
It's torn because I think the Dodgers are going to win tonight. And then for Game 7 on November 1st, I really don't know, man, because for the Blue Jays, you haven't been here in 35 years. I don't think they've won a World Series. But you got the Dodgers that are trying to do something that hasn't been done since the early 2000s. I mean, there's a lot riding on, but for me, I almost want to say I would like to see Ohtani get it because, you've had a hell of a season,
The Toronto Blue Jays won in 1993, and then they also won in 1992.
Oh, okay, so
they beat the Phillies in 93 4-2.
Okay,
and then they beat the Braves in 92 4-2 as well. So for the Blue Jays, this is nothing. They get it done in 6.
Yeah. So
based off of if history repeats itself, they get it done in 6. So this would be the Blue Jays' 3rd World Series.
Yep. So. This is like I said, it's been great for baseball. I'm here for it. It's been great to watch. I mean, we've had great baseball, and you're getting competitive baseball at its finest.
This could potentially be the Dodgers' 9th World Series if they can pull off, get it to Game 7 and win it in Game 7 to be their first one. They've, in the history of the Dodgers, in 63, they beat the Yanks 4-0. And beat the Yankees in 1955 4-3. Beat Chicago White Sox in 59 4-2. In 65, they beat the Twins 4-3. Got the Yankees again in 1981 4-2. 1988, beat the Athletic A's 4-1. In 2020,
COVID,
they beat the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
And then in 2024, they beat the Yankees 4-1.
And this is, another thing too, Clayton Kershaw, this is his last season. It could be a ride off into the sunset. 3-time World Series champion to ride off into the sunset because he's already announced his retirement after this year. So one of the greatest pitchers this league's ever seen as well.
Yeah.
So we talk about the Dodgers. They got pitchers. So Clayton Kershaw, like you said, Yota,
Yachimota,
and then you add Ohtani. I mean, God.
Right,
man.
but those guys are more like aces.
Yeah.
I mean, not Kershaw really at this point in his career.
No,
but
he's not what he once was.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kershaw at some point in this game.
Yes.
And then in Game 7 potentially.
Absolutely.
Same with Ohtani. I wouldn't be surprised if he potentially. I think he could start. I think he pitched game 2, so he could definitely pitch game 7.
Yeah.
He could definitely, obviously, he could bullpen in both games as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if they use.
You have to use him for a little bit, even whatever it is to get something.
If you have to.
If you have to.
The best case scenario is that this ace for the Dodgers in game 6, he pretty much goes the distance.
Yes. So that's what's going on in the MLB. Like I said, we could potentially have a World Series champion today, or we're going to have one on November 1st.
Well, Yachimoto did go the distance, actually. He went the full 9.
He went the full 9. So
I guess Ohtani pitched game 3, my bad, because Yachimoto pitched game 2.
Yep. So we'll definitely, obviously, we'll talk about the World Series next week, and depending on if we went game 6 or 7. But another cool thing that we got to talk about real quick, this is only the 32nd time in sports history that we had baseball, football, NBA, MLB, and MLS all on the same night. That took place Monday, October 27th. Only the 32nd time in sports history that's ever happened where we've gotten all the major leagues at one time on the same night. So that's pretty cool. So it's crazy that it's only 32 times. I mean, think about how long these sports been around. They don't line up that many times on the same date that often.
Not many.
You got to have that multiple TVs or you have some type of package. It's a lot of money you're paying for if you're trying to watch all these.
Split screens going on.
A lot of split screen. So like I said, that's MLB. Moving on to NBA. Obviously, it's very early in the season. We're only 5 to 6 games into the season. Not a lot to talk about, obviously, but we do got to give some shout-outs here. Michael Jordan obviously had his ABC debut. Wasn't what people thought. Everyone thought he maybe was going to show up, be in the arena. That was not the case. They took the cameras and went to his house. And they're basically going to break down his entire interview into multiple parts throughout the next couple of weeks. So a lot of people wouldn't say got bamboozled, but Michael Jordan's not showing up to no arena to be in a broadcast booth. That's just not what MJ's going to do. He's going to do it. It's just not what's going to happen. So
sounds like they paid him a nice amount of money.
They did, like $40+ million
to sit at his house.
Like,
nobody could ever say Michael did not ever secure the bag with anything he's ever done, from his Nike deal to the NBA to endorsements.
No,
obviously,
he got paid for them to do it. But we got to talk about Victor Wembanyama, aka Unicorn Alien. He's not real. Dude is doing things this year, which it's not surprising, but when you look at Wemby so far, first time the Spurs in history, in their franchise history, they've been 5-0. Never done that when you think about the David Robinson era, the Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich era. They never started 5-0. Wemby and the Spurs got that going. But there's a potential that Wemby could win Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year, and MVP. Like, what are the odds that he gets all three, barring health? Because it's going to come down to health, where they lie in the season.
But does the NBA have a comeback player?
I think they do, but I don't know what they call it.
Well, you can add that one to it, too.
You can add that one to it, too, because he had the blood clots last year, made it to the All-Star break, and then was out the rest of the year with the blood clots. But, I mean, wow.
I think there's a really good chance that he gets – I mean, is Defensive Player of the Year award? Check. MVP, I mean, like –
it's like an 85.
Very
80,
high potential chance that he gets MVP this year because, we can't keep giving it to Joker. That's just boring, apparently. But again, what Joel's do, not Joker, not Joel, because Joker deserved the one that Joel got. But what Victor Wembanyama's doing is crazy work.
But think about this too. You say Joker 4 or 5 games in, every game he's played this year, triple double, triple double every game he's played this year.
Wasn't good enough last year.
I'll tell you this right now, Joker's gonna break Westbrook's triple double record. Like, he's gonna do it.
But was it more impressive a guard getting all those triple doubles though?
It was very impressive.
Or like a big man getting it.
It's impressive both ways, because you don't typically think your guard's going to get rebounds, but then you don't typically think your center's going to get assists like that. And he's putting up, It's not like Joker gets like 10 assists. Joker sometimes be putting up 15, 14. He'd be getting, up there in the assists. So they're both pretty impressive. But with the way Joker does it with efficiency and all that is hell of impressive. So
I think honestly you can see a complete sweep for Victor Wembanyama when it comes for most improved, because obviously he's still improving. So it's gonna be a little bit tough, but we're seeing stuff that like his shooting, his offensive bag is more. Defensively, we always know he was there. So defensively, honestly, you can make a case if he didn't get hurt in his second year in the league, he would be working on his 3-time defensive player of the year, because he should have won as a rookie.
Yeah.
They snubbed him, which makes that award really non-obsolete, giving it to Rudy Gobert, the cone. And then obviously Gobert didn't finish the year, didn't play enough games, but if he was healthy, he would have won it last year.
Yep.
So defensive player of the year is a safe bet. MVP, the Spurs finish top 4 in the hard West.
I think if they finish, I think wherever he finished. Well, would you say does he have to be 5 or higher? He's 5 or lower.
I don't think they're going to finish any worse than 4th.
4th, okay. But if there was does it matter where he finishes? As if he gets his team there averaging what he's doing, he's MVP regardless. Because we've seen Russ win it as like an 8 seed.
Oh no, if the Spurs are even top 6, but I don't think they're going to be lower than 4 in the West with the talent they have. The talent they don't even have currently on the court with DeAndre Fox not playing yet. It's almost a given that Victor Wembanyama is going to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, and potentially could even win Most Improved based on what we're seeing just on the offensive side of the ball. Because that was the big question: is okay, you're tall but you're kind of slender. He's put on like 20, 30 pounds
and
of muscle.
And he's bringing the ball up, being full court press and just breaking it. Like we've seen it this year. It's crazy. So like I said, Joker, all triple doubles. But the crazy thing is the NBA did break a record this year. The most 40-point games the first week of the season in NBA history, 16. And Austin Reeves, Tyreek Maxey, and Luka, they all have 2 apiece. That breaks the 2022, 2023, and 09 and 10 record of 7. So they doubled it this season.
Just so you know, they do have the Most Improved Player award.
They do?
Yeah. So this is all the awards the NBA has, because I didn't know
we know
I didn't know they had 13 annual awards.
Damn.
So the most valuable players MVP is apparently the Michael Jordan Trophy.
Yep.
Rookie of the Year is considered the Wilt Chamberlain Trophy. Defensive Player of the Year is considered the Hakeem Olajuwon Trophy.
Yep.
Sixth Man of the Year is John Havlicek.
Yep.
Most Improved is George Mikan. Clutch Player of the Year, Jerry West.
Yep.
Coach of the Year is considered Red. Remember with Red. Executive of the Year and All-Star Game MVP is considered Kobe Bryant Trophy. Bill Russell is NBA Finals MVP.
Yep.
Sportsman Award is considered Joe Damars, and
so they do not have a
comeback player of the year award.
That is interesting. I think the NBA should hellaciously have a comeback player of the year award. For the fact of there are players that get hurt, their seasons get cut short, and they come back lightning in a bottle. I think there should be something, because the NFL has it, comeback player of the year award, where a guy gets hurt, comes back and balls out, or gets signed off the couch and wins it. So what?
You can't wear 69 in the NBA due to its sexual content.
Dennis Rodman wore it one time.
That's why you can't wear it no more.
Wear it no more. Yeah, you can't even get it in 2K either. You cannot wear 69 in 2K.
I wear 69. I know it was banned because of him, but I'm really surprised that they don't have a comeback player of the year award for how many players
get hurt,
go down with Achilles or ACLs, or even blood clots
and stuff like that, or
cancer. Or cancer, but it's really just kind of blood clots and Achilles. It's really kind of the big thing the past couple of years of taking players out.
What else in the NBA? The gambling situation has kind of died down a little bit. Congress says they are not going to be happy until Adam Silver addresses these issues and what his plan is going forward, which again, I think this all stems from the NBA, I guess, knew something was going on with Terry Rozier back when he did, because they pulled him and didn't allow him to play back in the 2023 season. But again, this whole gambling thing is opened up. There was a referee that went to jail that was accused of fixing games and admitted to fixing games back in the early 2000s. He's came back up and surfaced too on a recent podcast talking about how Michael Jordan and David Stern did a lot of gambling. Again, we're not surprised on that to agree because we'll never know because David Stern died and took that to the grave. And Michael's never going to say anything, obviously. But kind of makes you wonder now with a lot of these gambling.
I want that documentary of Michael Jordan. I want all that aired out there. And once we find all that air out there, I can finally have a real discussion on who's really the GOAT of the NBA. Is it LeBron or is it Michael?
Well, you got to think
because there's so much dirt that was obviously
swept under the rug.
It was. Like, we don't have
the
media we have nowadays. With all the cameras, everybody has a cell phone.
And even in the The Last Dance, it was very well documented that Michael gambled on everything, even with any and everybody. And again,
and they brought the media into his Last Dance thing too. That he was with the mafia.
Yeah,
that he was gambling with the mafia, and then all of a sudden your dad just when I watched The Last Dance, I was like, oh shit, like who got your dad? Like, and then just nothing, and then you disappear from the NBA.
I've always said
nobody from the NBA that roots for Jordan says he's the GOAT and he's this and this and he's untouchable.
Could you imagine what would happen if gambling was tied to Michael? What would Jordan fans really feel? Like, just in general, like how
they would ignore it the same way they ignore the fact that the mafia killed his dad because he owed the mafia money that he, I guess, couldn't pay up. Because
I've always
said that comes back to it. Like it would make Jordan fans cry. They would be like they'd be coming to shambles, and I know that makes you really happy to hear. But to me, that takes away, that diminishes him. It makes him dirty in a way, and so it really makes the GOAT debate more interesting, more fun.
It wouldn't make me happy because it would alter. The debate is what makes sports bigger. Is it Jordan, LeBron?
But when you debate them, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
But now what did you bring to the league? What endorsements would you do? How would you broaden
that? Is like the biggest blemish on Michael Jordan's record is that you were at the pinnacle of winning rings and you disappeared for 2 years. And it was just out of the blue. David, he was like, I got to go play baseball.
I think it's a blemish, but like a lot of people are like, oh, well, he just want to go play baseball.
Or they used the excuse was he was tired out. He was burnt out. No, like you don't.
If you're burnt out, I'm not going to go and try to play another sport if I'm burnt out.
That's like the one.
It's not like he went and played golf. He went and played baseball. By all means, is not a leisure sport.
So this gambling issue is a thing, and they were talking about it on another podcast how like. For example, they've talked about how James Harden's like over-under was like 20.5 points. And he had like 20 points in the first half and only took 3 shots in the second half.
Nada.
Like, it makes you think, like, that's a little sus. When you – even going back to what we talked about the J.R. Smith situation from the finals. How did you not notice? Somebody pay you to, like – it makes you look at things. And then you think about his interviews that he did. All 3 interviews were all 3 different answers to – the question.
What he's talking about is the last time LeBron and the Warriors and the Cavs went head-to-head, that miss of a game, that great Game 1 LeBron
had 50-plus points.
And J.R. Smith got the rebound right at the rim, and he just dribbled it out, and then they went to overtime.
And that was
lost, and then the rest is history. But everything J.R.'s ever said, it's never the same thing, so it makes you wonder, were you paid... What were you paid? What was you couldn't score certain points? Did the Warriors have to win? What were you embedded in, or what did you owe somebody?
This gambling situation has really changed a lot about the league in the instance of how you look at certain situations, and then those naysayers that have always said games are rigged, things are meant to go a certain way, and how you feel about that.
So I got 2 questions for you. So the first one is, which is bigger of a scandal potentially as the betting thing still unravels? Steroids in baseball or the betting that's currently going on in the NBA?
No, the betting going on in the NBA.
And it's a bigger scandal than steroids use in baseball?
Yeah, I think it's way bigger. I think we're way bigger. Because now it goes back, you take this gambling situation, you drop it all the way back into the 90s. Because you had these scandals going on in the early 2000s with the Lakers and Kings, the games being fixed, which obviously that referee came out and they were doing it themselves, but they claimed the NBA knew what was going on in David Stern. So the steroids in baseball, it wasn't like only certain people it really mattered against with the steroids. That was Barry Bonds. Like no one else cares about.
But it was also Sosa. It was the biggest names of the
biggest names,
the biggest hitters that were doing it.
And so, but it wasn't like with this gambling thing. It's people you didn't think that were doing it, and it makes you look at certain guys like we just talked about that James Harden. His over was 20.5 points. He scored 20, takes 3 shots in the second half, and doesn't score any points. No free throw attempts, no nothing. It makes you think like, why didn't you? Like you had 20 points in the first half. Well, you were about to have a big game, and then you just said, "Oh, dude,
considering he's a free throw merchant."
So yeah, I think the gambling situation is bigger because the gambling thing is bigger because it also stretches into the NFL. Then we have the Ohtani situation. Think about this. The NBA and this NFL one that's tied to the NFL as well, with certain guys being a part of it. This was a 3-year investigation. The Ohtani situation was done in like 4 days.
Well, it was a longer investigation than that. But the Ohtani one was, it came out and it was
came out, bang, and then
but it was supposedly proven that it was his interpreter
that
was pretty much embedding money from him. Granted, he was his best friend, so I don't think Ohtani really batted an eye much at him taking more money from him. He also
took care of the funds and everything.
And so I don't think Ohtani really batted an eye much at that. But you brought up the NFL. The NFL had put out a statement again about no gambling. Don't be doing this.
Think about it. We had the gambling situation in the college football announced that D1, D2, D3, and coaches are allowed to bet on pro athletes,
but
not themselves.
College.
Not college, but they can bet on pros.
Which is I'm fine with. But like my thing is college football and in the NFL, we really haven't had that many scandals. We had Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
And he was betting on himself. He was betting on his own team.
He was betting on him to do the over or whatever.
Well, he was either betting on his team to be trash, which they were, or he was betting on himself to be good.
Yeah, so that was a little different.
Perform. But like that's really the only time in the NFL since betting became legal across pretty much wide open. I think I kind of agree that this betting diminishes the NBA, especially with the history that's kind of been watered down.
When you go back to that, we tried to, us NBA fans like, no, there's no way. But now those, like, everybody that used to look at those guys like, no, you're lying, you did it. This comes out and you're like, oh, shit. Now we have to revisit and
there's plenty of people that were alive around David Stern.
Adam Silver was one of those people. So, like,
and Adam Silver's been very quiet.
He has. So
it's
so unfortunate because it has overshadowed what has been a tremendous start to the NBA season. I mean, we got guys going off. We got guys doing.
It just goes to show that maybe these dudes that say they could average 40 points.
It's a little weird that Chauncey Billups, gets me. The Blazers weren't looking good. The Blazers now under, Tiago Splitter, you're putting up 130 points a game.
All right. Well, I think it was I think they had so much young talent with the Blazers. I think that's a little bit of a stretch because like the Blazers extended Chauncey, so let's not act like Chauncey wasn't doing something great there with the Trailblazers.
It's just unfortunate. He's just one of those dudes who. Why you put yourself in that situation? Why are you doing it when you're already a made person in the NBA? You're in the Hall of Fame. You've made well over $100 million. What's even crazier is that when we go to the NFL, Antonio Gates was just inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame. He was just put in.
But again, that's not gambling. He
allegedly hosted and played in the rigged Miami poker game that is tied to
Why am I not allowed to do stuff? That's why I don't care about the mafia shit. Why am I not allowed to host poker games?
Well, Shady McCoy says the same thing. He goes, it's crazy that I can't, in the confine of my own home, have my friends come over with their money and play a game of poker. That's illegal. I can't do that. But I can go play in your casino and doing this perfectly fine.
That's what I'm saying. That doesn't make any sense to me because, like, I have buddies. They're like, "Hey, do you know anybody?
We got money. We're cool. We
got some bread like us." Well, I kind of know these guys. Their little sketch. If you're cool with it, cool. If they cool. Let's have a high riser table then, where we don't have to pay the house to play. We have our own alcohol. We can smoke what we want to smoke. We have the food we want.
Yeah,
and we can have a good time. I don't have problems with that. The problem is that the government has problems with you making any money that they can't get their fingers on. The problem is when you can't pay the mafia up, and then the mafia is like, "Hey, to make
who
this
you sacrificing? Like,
you're
who
gonna
gotta go?
You're gonna have to flop this game for me. So my last question I have for you
Go for it.
is in the betting world. They're talking about pulling back on some of the prop betting.
Yes. And
how do you feel about them pulling that back on the prop betting? So prop betting
that's a tough
is where
question
you
for
can
me, though,
say
Brandon.
that somebody's going to get 15 in the NBA, 15 points, 10 rebounds. You're saying they're going to get this. They're saying they're going to maybe potentially, or like passing yards in the NFL, rushing yards, whatever. They're going to potentially be pulling that back on a lot of the sites that you can gamble on because of what's going on. How do you feel about that?
Well, for someone that doesn't gamble, who might doesn't place bets, Brandon here does. He kind of lets me pick, and we go over them, and he breaks it down to me. I think it's a little tough. It changes the game of betting now. I think it changes the game and how you look at it now. You have to be a little bit more strategic, I guess, in how you go about your bets now. I think now, for me personally, for someone that doesn't bet, I think it lessens your chance of winning now in gambling. I think you have more chances of losing now than winning. Because, for example, like you said, Patrick Mahomes is throwing for 200, let's say 230 yards. He's good for 250. Now they're going to change that up, and it's like they're going to give you less numbers, and it's like, now it's a little bit tougher to bet.
Right. Instead of saying like, oh, this dude
the
averages,
odds now have changed more in their favor than it was in my favor.
In my favor, because saying, oh, the dude averages 250 yards.
Does that feel a little bit right? Because you, like I said, you do the betting, and that's how I feel about it.
I can see that. Like Luka, we averages 30 points a game. Oh, the good.
He's good for 35.
The dude good for good, 25 points then, but there's less prop bets you can hit, so it's like you're going to hit like the 30 or 40.
Or it's like they've lessened the profits and the payout. So like you could do like a certain pay, and you were going to like bet like $5 and the payout would be like $800-900. Now I could see like we have shortened that.
Well, that's the only way that's going to kind of happen though in the betting world is if there's less prop bets. Then there's going to be more people putting more, like you're going to have to put more money on them.
I thought it was funny
hitting
too,
higher.
That when they were talking about all this, they had the betting at the bottom of ESPN, and ESPN removed it mid-live television. Like, don't remove it now. That's all you promote. Like, you can't remove it now. It's too late.
They're Bet ESPN.
Like, yes. Like,
is it a little weird that ESPN has their own gambling app? Just a touch. I'm glad that people that use that, they're paying Stephen A. pretty much. Like
it just, it's definitely going to be interesting how we go, because this isn't going to be to me personally, you can answer this one. I think this is going to be a tough transition to how they're going to try to do this gambling thing, because I think it's going to be a tough transition. Don't you think?
I think certain sites might lessen
you think about all the money
options you have.
They've made off gambling. Think about the records that were broken in gambling last year alone.
Well, I don't think there's going to be that much that's going to change when it comes to prop betting, but
maybe like the payouts.
But I think like you will have maybe a little bit lesser options of
Fucking Aiden Ross is a little, back. If you think about the Aiden Ross situation with the betting of the boxing, had all that money put on, got a strange phone call, can't talk about it on stream. We'll talk about I'm switching all my money and got that payout. It's a little.
I want to know what that little dude. I need to know what insight he had. What
collusion did you have?
What video of somebody did you have to get the insight that was going to fall down that way? That's all I need.
But where do you see in gambling going from here? Because it's not going nowhere. But they got to what structures you
tighter restrictions on it. It's not going to affect the nowadays people like me or
no,
you.
No. But I
can see them tightening down restrictions on it and heightening the punishment, not just by the leagues, but by I would have to say the government's going not the federal government, but the federal government's you're going to go to jail time.
Yeah,
you have to, because you're dealing with people's money at this point.
Well, it's also
and you already been told no, you can't do this by the league. Players that get suspended indefinitely, you're good now. Go serve jail time.
Yeah. Well, it was also funny too. Last bit of information here is the NBA fucked up, and I know Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are upset. The NBA came out and announced that Chauncey and Terry Rozier were still going to receive their paychecks from their salaries. That got put out. That upset a shit ton of people. Then 3-4 days later, the NBA. So yes, they're not getting paid. Their money's going to go into an account for escrow and just sit there until investigation's complete. So they will not be receiving their money no more. I'm like, if I'm Chauncey Terry, you just had to put that information out there, huh? Now I ain't getting paid. But for Terry Rozier, no, you're fucked. Like you're done. Like we saw the video, like it's out there.
I mean, he was done anyways.
And you delivered it to your own house.
But he was done anyways, though. He was washed.
Now for Chauncey, him and his lawyers, they claim that they have their own, but it's not looking. I don't know how good it's looking for Chauncey either. Granted, it's died down a little bit, but I think this isn't over anytime.
I think Terry Rozier, he done suspended for indefinitely. He was pretty much washed anyways.
Yeah.
There's questions that the Heat could potentially get the draft capital that they gave up
back.
They could be getting that back because the Hornets in the league apparently, like we said, knew that this was going on, so they might get some draft capital back, which I think rightfully so they should.
Yep.
And I think Chauncey Billups, I think once it's all said and done, I think he'll be back as the coach of the Hornets because again, it's mafia stuff, dude. Or the Trailblazers.
Yep,
Trailblazers. Yep. My bad. Trailblazers. I think he'll be back coaching them.
Any suspension, you think? Like probably
maybe
40, 50.
Maybe some kind of suspension this year. Maybe he won't be back this year coaching them for suspension, but he'll be back next year. I think it's just dumb to get on people for wanting to have fun.
It's just the government trying to control everything.
Well, it's a weird flex. It's a weird flex.
Yeah. But that's everything going on in the NBA. Like I said, early in the NBA. So as we get closer, a little bit more down the line, as we said, always, we'll get into that. Moving on to the meat and potatoes, like everybody likes to say, the NFL, where we're at right now. We had some Thursday night football that went down. And obviously the Miami Dolphins, they got mollywopped. It was not great. 28, what was it? 28-6. 28-6. Funny fact, Tua has never won on Thursday night football. He is 0-5 with an 89.9 passer rating, 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. But after the game, they had a heart-to-heart conversation. You know, I think that's like their 9th one this season.
So. Well, they didn't have that was their first heart-to-heart. Other times, this has been player-only meetings.
Yep,
that they've showed up late for.
Yep,
or not at all showed up for. But the Dolphins, preceding that game of the boring-ass Thursday night football game. The Dolphins did fire their GM that was there from 2000 to 2016. In 2016, when he became the GM of the Dolphins. Now, in all fairness to him, I don't think he necessarily is done overly bad around 2020, making a really that bad of a roster. Like, I mean, I feel like he developed a pretty good roster, but
it's crazy long that you were there that long.
Well, I mean, it's the upcoming. I mean, look, based off his picture, he looks decently young.
Yes.
So I mean, he must have been there. Obviously, he was
worked his way up,
and became into that spot, which is normally sometimes.
But you fire him as the GM, but then you come out and tell me Mike McDaniel's job is safe, at least for the rest of this season. We're not going to fire him. What do you mean? You mean for the rest of this season, I got to listen to this dude at some point, not watch it, but like see clips of him stare at the prompt, trying to read to the media.
But I don't really think
the fuck he gonna say.
I don't really care about that though. The dude, we all know the dude's cracked out on something. We all know the dude fits Miami's like vibe. Like the dude's like a drug lord or something. Because that's the way he looks in his little capri pants and his Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Little glasses you got going on.
But to me, I don't know what that does for them, but not removing him. What are you getting out of this by not firing him mid-season outside of not being
2-7? Like, what do you mean?
That's my question to you. What are they getting by not firing him? They fired the GM. Why are we not firing the head coach? Like, what are they? What is there? What am I missing?
Any other franchise, you see a GM get fired with a coach that's clearly lost the locker room, lost the team, don't view you as a leader. Your quarterback's playing like ass. Any other situation when that GM goes, your head coach goes, and your quarterback's bench. But not with the Miami Dolphins. They're sticking with Tua, and they're sticking with Mike McDaniel. And I've said this for 3 weeks now. Brian Flores, someone owes you an apology. Like, that's all I
Well, again, like, I'm asking you, like, why do you think they're not moving off of him? Because there has to be something more than that. Like, obviously, a GM gets fired, the head coach kind of follows. sometimes, other times, like when the head coach is doing his job, he just has a shit roster. I mean, I kind of like the Browns. Like you haven't had a quarterback.
Yeah,
You can't help that for the Browns, but yet he's coached a decent team overall.
he's got a top 3 defense.
But that's different. I don't care about that. I'm talking about like why do you think the Dolphins are moving up?
I don't know.
We've been calling.
I'd be moving off of him. I'd have moved off of him 3 weeks
but
ago.
okay, I'm asking. Give me something why you don't think so.
The only thing I can think of is because you gave him the extension last year, so you have all the money, and they don't want to do the buyout, pay him the money that they can't afford to pay him.
I mean, that's just like the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You think
I don't know because like I really don't know why they don't want to move off of him. I generally don't understand because like we said, when you see trickle down like this, the quarterback gets benched and head coach is gone, or maybe the quarterback stays there, and you fire him, DC or OC gets promoted. Unless they truly don't believe in the DC or OC and everybody's leaving after next year.
Who cares? You're 2-6.
Yeah, 2-7. But
all right, 2-7 now.
I don't understand it. I need a little.
It's a weird move.
It's a weird move.
I think that's what you.
Then what was the point of firing the GM for? You might as well just kept the GM to the end of the season too. Then you've kept him there for the last 16 years. What is finishing out? 9 more games going to do? What was that going to hurt? Like no, that's not. It's not.
I don't know. I don't. For me personally, try to answer the question. I really don't think I can. I don't know why. Mainly because the past about 3 weeks, about week 4, I was calling for his fire. His head.
I think you could have potentially called for his fire after game 1 when you're already having.
No, that's a little aggressive. I get the players meeting.
After week 1.
But that's more of like I feel like the captains, the Tyreek, Tua. The guys in the locker room feeling like nobody's on the same page. I feel like after about week 4, the writing was on the wall. He's not controlling the locker room. Everything that Tua's saying to the media, then what his linemen are saying in the media. I'm like,
and then what former players come out and say about it.
And then I just kind of felt like he didn't control the locker room. Once that coach isn't controlling the locker room no more, he has to go. And I'm confused why he's still there. I personally couldn't give you a reason. I thought maybe you could.
I can't give a reason.
You I can't have nothing for me, my guy.
I don't have nothing for you because it makes legitimately no sense why you keep him. Mike McDaniel is not head coach material. Is he a great OC? Yes.
Potentially.
Know your role. Know your role. And I think that's where your role is. You're not a head coach. You're not a leader of men. And that's okay. That's something that's a quality not everybody has. And it's a quality you do not have. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I generally don't understand this by the Dolphins. It makes no sense. And it just makes them look more of a joke than potentially.
I couldn't say joke, but.
It's a joke. Like Tua playing like a joke. Not taking accountability.
This year, yes, but I would not say as a whole, as an organization and the talent they have is a joke.
So they've put together great talent. They've had a lot of great talent on paper. They've had a lot of great players. Going back the last 4 years, we can go back the last 4 years. The amount of talent they've had on that roster, a lot of veterans they've brought in. And
that's nothing. So, I mean, they'll be moving off from him this offseason anyways.
Yeah. I guess they're moving off Mike McDaniel, but the question really becomes in the offseason, Tua. What do you do with Tua?
So, I mean, quick before we move off of the Dolphins and their week 1, their Thursday night disaster is Tua stays. You paid him. You'll bring in a new head coach, new GM together, and you'll bring in competition for Tua. And next year will be kind of a make or break year for Tua.
So, next year, putting the writing on the wall, Tua's last year potentially as the Dolphins, not Dolphins quarterback.
As the Dolphins starting quarterback next year. I mean, like, they will bring in competition depending where they fall. They'll probably draft a rookie QB.
Again.
Or maybe they won't. They'll maybe trade back. I don't really know, but they might be some.
They do have Quinn Ewers, former Longhorns quarterback.
They might they'll bring in some competition for Tua next year and let him compete. He'll win out because, I mean,
where should they go?
He's better than that.
Head coaching wise next year, because we're betting on their fire Mike McDaniel. They got to bring in somebody
he's already
serious.
the writing's on the wall that he's fired. It's just whether they haven't done it yet. I really don't know who they're going to really necessarily go after. There's no name that really comes to mind, but I presume they would probably go offensive minded.
Being in that division of the AFC East,
I wouldn't be mad
Bill Belichick.
No, they're not going to go Belichick. That's not happening. He's not going there. Only person that comes to mind is maybe like a Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy, interesting. Okay, Okay, I like that. Not a bad thing. Lamar Jackson did return. The Baltimore Ravens were fined for.
They were fined $100K for misinforming of last week of his practice
availability and playing.
All he did was scout team reps, which should have put him down as, I guess, questionable and or limited, and that's not how he was put down on the.
They did not lose any draft pick.
They just got fined $100K.
Brandon's not happy. They should have lost draft pick. According to Brandon, they should have.
I mean, I feel like if you're going to misinform everybody, I feel like they should have been.
Another big news that went down in the NFL that's got Brandon and I just a little puzzled, a little question of the worthy of the contract. Aiden Hutchinson, DN, Detroit Lions, got a 4-year, $180 million contract extension with $141 million guaranteed, putting him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history at $45 million a year, just under Micah Parsons, $4 million more than TJ, $5 million more than Myles Garrett. A lot of questions when if you put in his stats and just look at the performance, the number and the stats don't match to the degree of the contract.
No, I didn't like the contract. I feel like he was more of a maybe closer to like the Josh Allen from the Jags, or around Trey Henderson's number, around 29, 28 million, or like George Karlaftis from Kansas City. I mean, he only got 22 a year. I think maybe he's a little bit better than George Karlaftis. Same draft class.
Yep.
But I feel like he was about mid 25, 28, high end 30 million. I didn't think he was almost resetting the market.
45 million is
because he got
crazy.
More guaranteed money than Micah got.
Yes, he did.
He got 141 guaranteed, while Micah got 136 guaranteed. And we all would agree that we would take Micah over Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
When our Kansas City Chiefs played him, I didn't know where was he at. Nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's a tough contract. I get it from Detroit's aspect. You lock him up, but it's just when you
I feel like they hellaciously overpaid.
The eye test. And see, we go off the eye test. When you watch Detroit play, Aiden's not always there when you need him to be there. Is he there? Yes. Does he make plays? Yes. But when you need that play to be made, he's not there making that play like a Micah Parsons, a TJ Watt, a Myles Garrett.
Chris Jones.
Like, he's not there when you really need him to make that play. Tremendous player, yes, but $45 million a year worth? No, I'm sorry.
It was an overpay for sure.
It definitely overpaid. But Detroit did it. They locked him up, 4-year extension. Just for me, the production. Obviously, last year had the gruesome leg injury. Obviously, came back but if you guys don't believe this, when you plug in the stats, like go to Pro Football Reference, you plug in the stats, you see the numbers, and you compare them to some of the guys from his draft class. Columbus isn't far off from his numbers. They're very, very close.
Well, they are, and so that's why I say it's an overpay. Nobody would say George Karlaftis is a top 5.
I mean, he's getting $5 million more per year than Myles Garrett, and that's just I get the money and how people go, but that's just insane to me. It's just insane because Myles Garrett's there. It's unfortunate.
Myles Garrett's the second best DN, if not the number one best DN in the NFL.
Yeah,
and to pay him more than a player that he's not better than is kind of crazy. But that's what the NFL does. I'm not really surprised.
Where we're at now.
Well, that's what the NFL has always done. Is the next guy up gets paid more than the next guy that just got paid, even if they're not better than them, and that's how organizations stall out or they kind of flop for a couple of years, is by overpaying players that they shouldn't have overpaid.
Yeah. So
and that's one of them. I don't think it's going to bite the Lions too much in the ass by overpaying him, but I'd be definitely not necessarily this year because he's recovering from the injury that he had last year, but you don't start seeing top 5 DN talent from him coming next year.
We got
it's going to look like a bad contract.
Very bad contract. Sure. We need to talk about the running back position. When I mean we got to talk about the running back position, Brandon, we go back to the 2023 season. We should have had a running back as the MVP, Christian McCaffrey. I think we can all agree on that. He should have been the MVP. Then we move fast forward to the 2024 season. Saquon Barkley had a tremendous year, had a chance to break record and stuff like that, fell a little short. Could have been the MVP. Obviously, there was Lamar and Josh Allen. He was in the conversation. Potentially could have had a second straight MVP at the running back position. Move on to this year in the NFL. The MVP talks are out. You see some of the names that are in it. You know, you got Drake May, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and then Jonathan Taylor. Another running back having a tremendous year. We got to talk about it because we're going to go through their first 8 games. Brandon has their full stats. I have the first 8 games. So rushing yards, we're going to start with Christian McCaffrey. This is 8 games in. He had 652. Saquon had 925. Jonathan Taylor, 850. Rushing yards per game, Christian, 81.5. Saquon, 115.6. Jonathan Taylor, 106.3. Yards per carry, Christian McCaffrey, 4.7. Saquon, 5.8. Jonathan Taylor, 5.9. Rushing touchdowns, Saquon, 9. Christian McCaffrey, 9. Saquon, 6. Jonathan Taylor, 12. That's 8 games through the season so far. Jonathan Taylor's on pace to do some serious damage at this current pace. I don't think the NFL could give him the MVP because you didn't give it to Saquon, you didn't give it to Christian McCaffrey, but the NFL likes to sometimes throw a wrench. Could you imagine if they gave the MVP to Jonathan Taylor? What would that mean or do to Saquon and Christian McCaffrey's performances? If
Jonathan Taylor gets an MVP, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Locked in. He doesn't have to play another snap. He's locked in Hall of Famer for our running back since last running back we had that
2008 AP
was Adrian Peterson. And it's not like Jonathan Taylor's had a bad career either.
No, he's not.
He averages 4.5 yards per carry more or less his whole career anyways.
Yep.
But let's run it all the way back to what CMC already had in 2023 for the full season. 16 games. He had 1,459 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, had almost 600 receiving yards, and 7 tutties.
Okay.
Then we run over to Saquon Barkley, who last year we all remember.
Yes.
Had a great year in Philadelphia. Played again 16 games. He had 345 rushing attempts for over 2,000 yards, 13 tutties, and receiving, he had... Oh, get this out of the way so I can see it. I guess it doesn't say how many touchdowns he had receiving-wise.
Yeah, I know he had a couple.
He had a handful of receiving yards. Unfortunately, I blame pro football for not having that.
Shame on you, pro football.
But then Jonathan Taylor this year, like you said, 143 carries for 850 yards, averaging 5.9 yards a carry, 12 touchdowns, and he's had 25 catches.
Jonathan
Taylor's not a threat in the passing game. Kind of like CMC was the only kind of threat in the passing game.
Yes.
But CMC didn't get it. It's cool. He wasn't that dominant, but he was a dual threat. Saquon Barkley was a beast on the ground. And then Jonathan Taylor now averaging pretty much 6 yards per carry. Like, dude, you handed off twice. That's the first down.
I will say this. If Jonathan Taylor stays on this pace and he doesn't get an MVP, the NFL needs to figure out a different type of award outside of the Offensive Player of the Year award for a fucking running back.
So another stat for Jonathan Taylor. He's now the 5th player since 2000 with at least 3 scrimmage touchdowns in 4 games in a season, joining LaDainian Tomlinson in 2006, Marshawn Faulk in 2000, Sean Alexander in 2005, and Priest Holmes, who did it back-to-back in 2002 and 2003. He also becomes the 6th player in NFL history with at least 70 scrimmage touchdowns in his first 75 career games, joining Jim Brown, who had 79.
Whew.
Tomlinson, who has 79. Emmitt Smith, who
Okay.
most consider him one of the best running backs of all time, with 72. Chuck Foreman with 71. And unfortunately, them damn knees for Todd Gurley, who had 71.
Yeah, Todd Gurley would have been an interesting conversation with the knee injuries.
But like, if they give the MVP, if Jonathan Taylor continues on this pace,
And they give like
and he
NFL
gets
likes to do
the
this.
MVP, if I'm Saquon Barkley and CMC, I'm feeling some kind of way.
Because you
And
had
we
hinted, again, like you said, Jonathan has not been bad in his career. But you literally just basically said Jonathan Taylor's better than Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey by giving him an MVP. Because that's a humongous accolade to have to your career. Like, that's tremendous. So be very curious to see what happens. But I'll say this: if the NFL doesn't give it to the running back, you got to have another award outside of the Offensive Player of the Year.
The only thing working in his favor, which I thought also was working in CMC's favor, is CMC had Brock Purdy, who nobody thought as an elite quarterback, and still kind of, and at this day and age, don't quite see him as that. We don't know what he is this year because of injuries with his sprained toe. And then last year, obviously, Jalen Hurts, people view him as a top 10 quarterback. Nobody viewed Danny Dimes as a top 10, top 20 quarterback at all.
Ever.
And I think that has to take into effect that just because you view Danny Dimes in a different eyesight now because of how he's performing with the Colts,
Yep.
shouldn't take away at all from what Jonathan Taylor's been able to before.
Yes. And you can't take that away because he's giving you back to those, what was it, 2021 season when he just kind of broke out too.
Well,
but he's doing it at a much higher rate. In my personal opinion, he's doing it a little bit different.
It was 2021 when he had 332 carries, 1,800 yards, averaged 5.5 yards in 18 tutties.
Yeah, so I mean, think about 18. He's already at 12 through week 8, and he's averaging 5.9 and has already got 850 yards. So, like,
if he gets the rushing title, is that enough to get it? If he does it in the one less game.
Yes, you would like to think so.
Like, to me, if he gets it with the full schedule, then I still think that's enough. But like, again, it needs to be a little bit of
an asterisk. Before the asterisk, then we're having another conversation.
But again, I'm on the Jonathan Taylor hype train because I feel like we really should be on a three-peat.
You can appreciate what Danny Dimes is doing for the Colts, but you can also give another appreciation to what Jonathan Taylor's doing at the same time.
I mean, it's almost like without Jonathan Taylor, is Danny Dimes really doing what he's doing?
That's a fair statement. That is a very fair statement you have to take into consideration, too. Because a lot of people have been putting Danny Dimes on a very high pedestal this season, which is great. Happy for him. But Jonathan Taylor, man, like, I think he is he's the Christian McCaffrey of the Indianapolis Colts. He is the engine. He's everything for the Colts. He's everything.
Moving off the MVP talk, because I feel like we should be on MVP. I feel like we should be going 3 straight years now of running backs winning the MVP, and that's not a shot.
And if you don't think that that's a fair thing, then I think you need to go back and watch. And I don't think you watch correctly because Brandon and I have been on. We were on the Christian McCaffrey train. We were hella on the Saquon Barkley train. I mean, if you weren't on those 2 trains, I don't know what to tell you.
But I'm really curious to see what happens for the Colts this season when they run into a team that can take Jonathan Taylor away. Like when they play us in a couple of weeks, I'm quite curious to see how Danny Dimes performs against the Chiefs defense that isn't allowing any more than like 18, 17 points a game, and we're holding top tier rushers under 100 yards. I'm quite curious to see what happens if a team takes away Jonathan Taylor, how he performs overall. But like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him because like I'm here for like the emergence of him. So I'm curious to see when he has to do it, how the Colts offense looks.
Yep, you're not wrong. The NFL trade deadline is approaching. November 4th is the trade deadline. So Brandon and I have some sellers and some buyer teams that we think are going to be in the market. We have Kansas City, Buffalo, Cowboys, Patriots, and Pittsburgh as potential buyers in this NFL trade deadline, which Kansas City's been linked to some running backs. If you're Buffalo, but for Kansas City, it's tough because Isaiah Pacheco goes down. Now Smith gets to come in with Kareem Hunt. Really get to see what Smith looks like. Could potentially change how we feel about maybe needed to make
No, not we, me, because you think they're buyers. I don't think Kansas City's doing much come the trade deadline because I think they would like to add some pass rush defensively. I don't think the Chiefs are willing to give up the assets it would require. I was on grabbing the running back train that we probably might trade for one, but with Isaiah Pugh potentially going down for a couple of weeks and Smith stepping in this week with that split back role, if Smith flourishes this week against Buffalo, I don't think personally we make a move.
That's fair. Offensively, I think it could change. I think we're more of a buyer defensively. I think we need an edge rusher, maybe a safety, something like that.
I don't think we're willing to move any assets like that to require anything.
That's fair. Buffalo, you have to make a call for a wide receiver.
Yeah, they need a steal guy.
And if you don't, then what are you doing? Like I question, what are you doing if you don't make a call for an AJ Brown, make a call for a Garrett Wilson, a Chris Olave?
I think the biggest one for me would probably be the Chris Olave to Buffalo. I think any of those you named would potentially move.
Brian Thomas Jr., if you could maybe snag him from the Jags, if they're really willing to move on from him, because they are listening to offers. So, be curious. The Cowboys, they're buyers, but when I say they're buyers, I don't know what they're trying to buy. They need to buy something defensively. They need to buy something.
They need to buy some pass rushing.
They have tried to make some calls for Trey Henderson and Max Crosby. Haven't had a lot of great success with it, but they've made the calls for those guys, which is a weird flex when you had Micah Parsons. Could have just paid, but I digress. Now the Patriots is an interesting one. I think they're buyers, but how deep in the buyers market are they? They are top of their division, 6-2.
For me, I think
can't be an all-in type of move yet.
Well, that's what I want to say. I don't think the Patriots are I think they would potentially go push a lot of chips forward because this is Drake May's second year.
Yep.
Going into his third, you are leading your division currently. Your defense is looking good. I think for the right player, they would push a decent amount of chips in. They've been wanting A.J. Brown. I think the move they would make would be for A.J. Brown. I don't know if that would take a one or a couple of twos. But I think if they make a trade, it's just for A.J. Brown, maybe a Chris Olave, but definitely for A.J. Brown, that would give up some draft capital.
Yep, that's fair. And in Pittsburgh, I think they have to be in a market for potential. They need a wide receiver and maybe a running back as well.
They need a wide receiver. They need somebody to loosen up the coverage off DK. As great as DK is,
he's getting strapped.
He gets strapped up. Well, the defense take that when the teams they play, they take away DK. They bracket.
They're smart. They understand they sign.
And no matter how great you are, unless you're Megatron or Jerry Rice, you ain't getting out of it. And DK is not in that realm, and so he's getting put into a box and not allowed to explode. Everybody else,
I think it's crazy. They're dogging on DK. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm getting 2 to 3 guys. They're taking me out of the game.
And nobody else is winning.
Nobody else is winning. No one's giving me separation to try to loosen me up. They have to go get somebody to go on the other side of DK. And if they don't, then it's another one of those things with Buffalo. What the fuck was this season about? What are you doing?
What was the point?
Huh?
Talk Steelers.
Yes. No, I'm saying I put them in with the Buffalo Bills. What are you doing this season?
But the Steelers went in with this receiving core knowing what they had. Yeah. And the Steelers went out and they got Aaron Rodgers. They went and they traded for DK. Knowing that you got rid of a weapon outside of DK to the Cowboys, that I think the Steelers, if they really are trying to win it all this year with this potentially 1 year rental with Aaron Rodgers, you have to go get something. If it's a running back, it has to be like an Alvin Kamara type that can give you passing out of the backfield. To pair with Jalen Warren would be kind of nasty.
Yes.
But they really do need that other wide receiver spot.
Yeah. Now, the sellers we have are the Dolphins. I think they could be tremendous sellers. They have some veterans on the defensive side.
I think Bradley Chubb gets moved. I think
He's
Jalen
got
Waddle
Phillips.
could get moved.
Uh,
Phillips could be moved.
Waddle's been a name that's been linked to some teams trying to get him as a wide receiver. I don't know if they'll be willing to move off their running back. I can't. Chinny. He could definitely attract some attention if you need that, but the running back market is, for teams is very small.
I think for the right price, they might move off of him. I see more of their defense.
You got so many
letting it go.
Let go. The Saints. You got a magnitude of veterans on the defensive side of the ball that you can move off of. Cameron Jordan to be one, I think could go to a serious contender and make a huge difference. Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara are serious names to move because, again, what are the Saints doing? What are you building? I don't know. They don't know. The city of New Orleans don't even know.
Well, I think with the Saints, I think you could see an Alvin Kamara moved. He's very cap-friendly for teams that would require him in a trade. So I think he's the most movable running back. I don't think the Saints are quite keen on wanting to move off of Olave, but again, I think they're in a weird spot rebuild-wise with the right offer.
Yeah.
I see they move, but I also see the Saints being in a weird releasing some veterans so they can go out, so they can leave to try to play some younger talent and letting these older veteran guys that have maybe a year or two left in the league sign with some, pull some playoff teams to try to chase a ring.
Then you have the Jets, who I think are sellers. And this was a tough one because Breece Hall, no contract extension. Don't look like he's going to get one. He's potentially someone that could be moved. Garrett Wilson's a tough one to move because just got paid. But, again, the Jets are in a weird, odd situation I didn't expect him to be in at 1-7.
I think the only reason the Jets are sellers is because of Breece Hall. He's been linked in the trade rumors. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see Breece Hall being moved.
Yeah. And then Philly, I have as buyers and sellers, but more of a seller of A.J. Brown, just because of the turmoil, the drama, and everything. He wants more targets, and you got to eliminate something. Something's got to give there, and I just think A.J. Brown, he's a guy that he wants the ball, and he needs to go somewhere where he can get the ball. So, like all the Steelers, maybe the Patriots, Buffalo, you can make it work because they're not going to keep him if they do move him, potentially, if they do. Not keeping him in the NFC, he's going to the AFC.
Well, that's why I disagree that they're sellers. I don't think they're moving A.J. Brown. They're 6-2. You're 3 games up on the Cowboys. You're 3 games up on the Commanders in your own division. You're not moving A.J. Brown. It just doesn't make sense. Not unless he comes and he bangs down the door and demands out. I don't think he gets moved. But I do think they'll be buying, though. They'll be buying some defensive players. They
got to buy somebody because I look at this Philly team. They're not scary. They don't scare me. I don't think
defensively they're not very scary. But offensively, if Jalen Hurts puts himself in like a big game mode, then
different conversation.
It's scary. But they've already potentially out there. The rumor is they've offered 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett.
They have.
And so the Eagles are big game hunting. Now, whether or not they land one or if the rumors are true, I'm not quite sure. But if they're willing to give up 3 1s for Myles Garrett, they might be willing to give up maybe a 1 or 2 firsts for Crosby. But again, there's levels to DNs.
Yeah. So, like I said, trade deadline is November 4th. We will bring you the outcome of the trade deadline next week. Whatever moves are done, if any. I think there will be a couple moves.
There'll
be a handful of moves for sure. Maybe not big moves potentially, but there will be some moves. The Week 8 recap. Your boys here, we went to the Kansas City Chiefs game, Monday Night Football against the Commanders. We sat row 2 of the end zone. It was an amazing experience. We even got to meet Tamba Hali, who literally sat right behind us. That was a cool thing. We got to watch our Chiefs beat the Commanders 28-7. When we look at the Week 8 recap, there's really nothing to really talk about here outside of the Bengals. Bangled and let the Jets get their first win. Outside of that,
when you get the Texans upsetting the 49ers.
They did. There was that upset that was a little surprising. The Dolphins spanked the Falcons. That was a horrible loss for the Falcons.
Is it, though? Because what is the Falcons? Like, what are the Falcons? Is their
head coach on a hot seat? Atlanta Falcons head coach? He's got to be on a hot seat at some point, right?
I mean, they're 3-4. So I think this
Kirk
is
Cousins is supposed to be starting this week.
well. I think this is one of those instances that a head coach kind of rides out the full season.
Yeah.
And kind of see how the team is looking and performing under him. If there's any turmoil towards like the middle end of the season, we are about halfway through. So we'll kind of see on that one. I don't necessarily think the seat's warm. It's not hot, but it's definitely warm. And unfortunately, Penix's injury issues are starting to rear its head.
Yep, those college rumors are starting to show back up again. There was, unfortunately, Cam Scabito. He did suffer a serious ankle injury, and amongst other things, that really derailed that Eagles-Giants game, unfortunately. There was also the tush-push issue where they fumbled it and it was called back. I'm just here to tell you the tush-push will be banned next NFL offseason, will not be here.
If it's not taken away, I'll be shocked.
So,
did the Broncos-Cowboys outcome shock you at all? I mean, like the 44 to 24.
I think the amount of points that the Broncos put up, yes, but that's really about it. The Cowboys defense is ass. The Broncos defense is elite. It is elite, and that is what I would tell you. If you are the Broncos, we did not have them as buyers, but a slight extra, like maybe like a receiver, something to add there.
I don't think they really much added anything.
But I don't know what
going on.
Yeah, so
like I would say tight end, but they don't even use tight ends.
No, they don't. They do not. They don't even use Evan Ingram like that. But outside of that, that's really about it that took place week 8.
All the games week 8 kind of went how you thought they should go.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, the Ravens getting the Bears was a semi-surprise with Lamar Jackson.
Tyler Huntley had a hell of a game, dude. He balled out.
But he usually does for the Ravens, weirdly enough.
But if you were the Chicago, that's a bad loss. That's a bad loss to lose to that Ravens team.
Yes and no. It depends how you look at the Ravens. It depends how you look at the Bears.
So, just the way that the Ravens have looked.
To lose that bad.
I lose that bad. But the week 9 matchups, here we go. We're going to get to. We got the Niners and Giants.
Yeah, but we got to flip this. I went last week.
Oh, that's right. So it's my time. 49ers.
Yeah, no Scabito.
No Scabito.
We have Chargers at Titans.
Chargers.
All right, yeah. And Vikings, Lions.
J.J. McCarthy's supposed to be back. Lions.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
I'm just more curious to see what he looks like.
Yes.
I mean, I want more game film. I want to see J.J.
Yep.
All right, Falcons, Patriots.
Patriots, baby. You got to ride that train.
Yeah, that's over. Steelers, Colts. I'm serious.
But this could be a get-me game for the Colts, potentially.
Well, I'm here
when I say get-me game, it's just more like
the Steelers defense steps up and they shut down Jonathan Taylor
and make Danny Dimes throw the ball.
Do we get the Steelers defense that we think the Steelers defense can be? Broncos at Texans.
Broncos, but I feel like this could be a get-me game too for the Broncos.
I don't even think so. That defense is going to take C.J. Stroud and put him in a blender. Bears, Bengals.
Bears. Jake Browning's supposed to play. No Joe Flacco.
I know he's questionable with the AC joint.
He is.
If Joe Flacco goes...
Fuck the Bengals.
If Joe Flacco goes, I think you're wrong. Panthers at Packers.
Packers.
Okay. Rams. Okay. That was Rams versus Saints. They're starting their rookie quarterback.
Yes, they are.
Jaguars at Raiders.
There's no Travis Hunter on IR next 4 weeks.
Wasn't like he had a whole lot of impact offensively, but okay. Unfortunately, Travis Hunter is out for 4 weeks.
Don't say our game next. Say that one last.
Seahawks at Commanders.
Seahawks, man, you got to ride that Sam Darnold, Smith, do what they're doing right now.
And then you have the Cardinals, Monday night, Cardinals at Cowboys.
Cardinals.
All right. And then going back to the 3 o'clock game, our Kansas City Chiefs versus our fun time rivals in New York, Buffalo Bills.
Kansas City Chiefs, and I taking the Chiefs, not because it's our team, but I think this is the first time that this game is not close. I think this is the first time we absolutely just handle the Bills because that defense is not good. It's not good at all. This is probably the worst defense Josh Allen's had since he's been a Buffalo Bill. Since he's been at an elite level, Josh Allen.
So the Bills, the strength of schedule they have faced has been .256.
Damn.
Next is Dolphins at 0.267. Titans have a weak schedule too, and they have not taken advantage of it. 2.86. The Patriots have 0.319 strength of schedule. And the Broncos are there at 5 at 0.344. And the Broncos are taking advantage of their weak ass schedule.
Yes, they have. They have taken.
Buffalo has as well, so has the Patriots. But the Buffaloes had the weakest strength of schedule so far in the AFC. And just on the AFC side.
AFC side
of teams, they've had the weakest schedule, and they're currently slated in at second. They've not looked good.
No.
And our Buffalo Bills fan here in Kansas, Isaac, if you guys have all met, he was quite hyped on how the defense looked against the Carolina Panthers offense, and that's a good thing to be like feel good that your defense looked better. But it was just the Panthers.
Yeah, and
it wasn't even Bryce Young that was playing. It was Andy Dalton at quarterback.
I just think that this is the first time that the Bills are going to get him. Again, could be wrong, but just of what I've seen from the eye test from the Buffalo Bills defense, I just don't see them being able to handle all the weapons that we have. So, but those are the Week 9 matchups. We'll let you know how they go. And like I said, we'll bring you up the trade deadline next week. You guys have a great Halloween. We'll see you next week.